Hello again, boys and girls. Um, I I love making these videos. One day, maybe after some time, people actually start watching my videos. So, uh, I mean, there's always things to talk about, always things to really complain about. Uh, so, I mean, I could go on, but I get tired all the time. Um, I mean, what do you expect? I'm doing these crazy times in the night. Uh, I wanted to put up a video about collector rules. This would be my first one because there's so many things about video game collecting. Um, and I decided, maybe I'll do that. But if I didn't talk about this, I decided to make this, I don't want a really short video. So if I haven't mentioned this, I was like, new game or generation pet peeves. And if I did mention this, I'm just going to say it again because I'm not 100% sure. Um, but uh, one of my pet peeves about this current generation of gaming is the load times, which can take very long. I miss the generations where you could play a game, even just put in a CD from the start. Cartridges never really had that problem. There was still load times, but I mean, you didn't have to download a game. And apparently, this started last generation, and there were people I remember reading who downloaded games or something like that. And I said, "Is that good?" And I think the guy said that you could, you know, it was faster or something like that, but it was, sometimes it burned out the system or whatever. It really wasn't good for it, and so I decided against it. And I really didn't need to do it anyway. But at the time, if you remember when the 360 came out, I don't think Microsoft or Sony really anticipated the shift in the market because it came out with very little memory and it was still the same. you know I mean, I got the 20 gig model and it was still like very now games were a lot smaller, but still you know it was still like to the point where you couldn't really download things that quickly. I remember just buying games off the arcade, the Xbox Live Arcade, and then still filling up my 20 gig hard drive. So um, that was that. And so I'm looking at it now, and besides back then and previous generations, that's the thing I don't like. Like I said, I might have mentioned it in another video, but now I mentioned uh, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which took me like 20 hours or almost, or a little bit more, but not quite a day to download. So, I mean, that's a long time. It's very possible I was, connectivity issues or, that I don't have the Xbox directly connected to the router. Um, I guess I could try that. And someone could make me probably feel like an idiot if it really works that good. But I understood that really didn't do very much. Um, like, if you ever watched the video, you can comment below and just make me feel stupid if you want to. But I thought I asked that question, and I was told that it really doesn't. It's really not um, that much of a big deal. That it really wouldn't change much. Uh, so I just never did it. But that's really one of my pet peeves. I could write probably a list, but my favorite thing to talk about is retro games. So with that, if you happen to watch this video, however many years it is from now, um, I'm going to change the subject. So if you want to click away, you can do that. I'll give you a couple seconds to do it. Alright, well, that was probably enough time. I don't even care anyway. So, if you're still here, I decided to make this, besides the collector pet peeves, um, or, new gaming pet peeves video, I decided to do another first. Um, I'll go with, um, and, and I'm going to call it Rules of Video Game Collecting. Um, but essentially, um, these are rules that I go by and you should go by. It doesn't really make a difference whether you do or not. You probably do, with some of them at least. But I just say them because I like to talk about it. Someone will probably comment at some point, what their rules are, what they believe you should do, uh, and actually, I just thought of a third rule, so maybe I'll just throw that in there, just to make this a little more interesting. Like I said, because it's all dependent on what people believe. So, so our first rule that I believe I mentioned before in another video was that you shouldn't be afraid to take risks. Take risks. Most video game collectors do, but I think some don't because they don't want to lose money or time, and I don't blame them. But a lot of them also resell, so it makes sense to take the risk, and even if you buy something that doesn't work, like a system, you can still get some money for it if you're not willing to or don't care to fix it. It's probably worth more now, but I mean, you could still get at least $5 a piece for them, and for the right person, it's worth the buy, and goes back to the ecosystem. But at least you get something, so it's not a total loss. And you can put toward other video games. Now, most collectors don't have a problem buying things that they don't know work, because usually that's where you get your best deals. They'll go through yard sales and flea markets, maybe even garage sales, and a lot of times they don't know if these things work or they were untested. But most of them just don't mind. But I have heard of some who don't do that, and frankly, I don't blame you, because nobody wants to buy something and have it not work. You want to have it work right away. But the thing of it is, everyone collects differently. Some people collect to complete, others collect because they just buy what they want. Some are very specific, some only collect for a handful or less. I've even heard of, people who collect by the company or even by the genre or even the character. Like, I remember Atari Age, I'm in a Bubsy collector, which I thought was pretty cool, because I never knew how many Bubsy games there were. But I mean, something like that. Whatever fits your bill. Um, the one that I was thinking uh, would be exciting, the one that some may not have thought of. Some people have gotten this lucky, others haven't. Uh, but I've decided, what, I'll say this one second because this was supposed to be the last comment or the last topic I had on this video. And that is that um, you rarely find things for free now, especially now. Now that, everybody wants to get rich off selling video games, the demand is, it's skyrocketed, and, everybody wants everything for top dollar. Uh, you rarely find things for free. Um, I've been lucky to find a couple things here and there. It's usually not for free. I have found things, and comment in the section below if you've done this. Not exactly traded, but bartered. And what I mean is, um, like people, it's a technical way of trading, but it's not like most people where they trade video games for video games. Um, it's like I've seen like one guy I think he's on Facebook right now, assuming he's still there. It wasn't long ago that I saw him, but he's got like a Saturn, a Sega, a bunch of other stuff. It's like a small collection, and he wants like, I think, good guitar equipment, if I remember. Um, so I've met a few of these people before. I've seen like a handful of them on Craigslist, and I know I'm getting off the topic a little bit, but it would be interesting to me if somebody actually pulled it off. Excuse me, I had to sneeze there. Um, but it would be good if somebody actually pulled it off and told me how it goes. I mean, maybe there's somebody out there, but I don't think I'm going to find anyone anytime soon, because a lot of these people want like, the few people that I've met want like more than their stuff's worth. Like, they'll have like $300 worth of stuff, and they'll want something that's like, double or triple the price. And it's like, it's cool if maybe you have it and you want to get rid of it, but so far I haven't had anything, and I've tried to get a hold of. Used my time. Like if somebody they said they wanted a certain brand of something, I've looked a couple things up, and it's usually worth more than what this person's willing to trade with. And I almost think, man, if I could just get something, uh, on the cheap, or someone who's willing to get rid of it cheap, maybe I could get the deal. But I never seem to find that. I asked what this guy wanted, and this guy with the guitar stuff, and he had said that, what do you have? Well, I don't have anything, but I wish he would just be more specific so I could get him, uh, what he really likes. Don't quote me on the guitar stuff, but I think it's guitar stuff, but just something with musical instruments. I believe it's guitar stuff. Could be drums. Excuse me, but that's one interesting aspect of collecting. Like I said, to use every avenue, and I guess I essentially should make that, um, one of those is another uh, rule of video game collecting, but not everyone's like that. I mean, that's my rule because I love everything and anything, I'll give anything a good home. Not everyone's like that. Everyone wants to, they're going to be picky, or if it's not valuable, it doesn't matter to them. But to me, it all is a piece of history. It has a story to it, and it needs a home. Uh, Getting off the subject a tad, a little bit, but going back a little bit, I mentioned the bartering because it was another avenue that I thought, hey, maybe, I remember seeing these, and you know, as I had mentioned Craigslist, I figured I'd just throw that out there. As you can see, I'm a big chatterbox when it comes to these things. But the rule that I was getting toward was, um, as I had mentioned before, that a lot of times, uh, you know, everybody's in the hustle and bustle, and there are those nice souls who either don't care about things, or they just, want to give it to someone in need. I've seen very few things for free. Heard stories about people who are given things, but that's usually by a friend or someone who knows them. But I know I was by an awesome coworker who gave me a box of stuff. But uh, what I'm trying to say is, I usually find it on Craigslist. And funny thing is, I find these things in Philadelphia where people are literally sometimes throwing the games away. They literally are for free, and they're just throwing them away. And so my rule is this. Now, like I said, I'm just going to throw this out there. Somebody had listened to 360, but somebody probably grabbed that. I think, yeah, I remember seeing somebody with a bunch, like 12 PS1 games, but they were like, common, like kiddie games, but they were really good condition. And like I said, I like giving everything a home. And these are pristine. Like, I've never seen these. They were barely used. And I'm looking at it, there's no scratches. And I'm like, I'd give these a home, but of course someone else got them first. And I was like, well, whatever. Probably, hate to say this, I've heard some people say this before, but I mean, they're you know, because they say, oh, someone grabs it quick, everyone's quick to say it's a reseller. But the thing of it is, let's put this together, you know. Who is usually that quick, you know, collector to grab things that don't mean much to them, or someone who wants to make a quick buck off of it, you know. I mean, you can tell by the games they weren't anything special. I mean, Dora the Explorer and Bob the Builder, you know. No collectors usually in a hurry to get those. Um, sorry, just a little rant, because you know you put up with all this stuff all the time. And like I said, the way no offense, not to brag, but the way I collect, try to look at everything, you put up a lot more, even more. And it's a downer, but you do it because you love it. It's a labor of love. Um, and that's a topic for another video. But my point is this. Um, I'll give you an example. I know, yeah, and I wanted to say too that I saw a PS3 controller. I didn't get it in time, but that's okay. I always think to myself, if someone else gets it before me, maybe they need it more than me. At least it's going to a home. Maybe they missold it. I don't care. Yeah, it's gone. Hopefully it went to a needy home. You know, someone who needs a good PS3 controller. Um, but trying to think. Okay, all right. I have two stories. Um, um, let's see. So should I? All right. I'll tell you the stories first. I'd like to think you'd want to hear them. The first was I was looking up Sega Genesis, and some guy had one for free. He had it in a tub full of stuff, a karaoke machine, a couple other things. Actually, some stuff he had I thought I could maybe use. Even the old computer speakers I figured were still useful because it still had everything with it. But, you know, when he brought it out, I remember messaging to him and, you know, hey, you want this? And he said, oh, I put that in there so someone would take the rest of the stuff. And I was thinking, that's cool, you know, I'll take it just so I get the Genesis. Because me and my brother, you know, he does electrical work. I help him out sometimes. And we were in the area, and I figured, you know what, we can just stop over. And there, one thing that annoyed me, he was a really cool guy, though. Um, I told him I had a channel, and I never told him the channel was, because at the time, uh, you know, I didn't get started. Um, so, yeah, excuse me, I just moved my hair. So I didn't get started on the channel yet, and I didn't know what to say at the time. I just didn't get around to it. Really cool guy, though. I have to say, I really did like him. But the one thing that did kind of, I have to be honest, I was a little mad about the fact that he had everything out, and I walked up, and he was like, you know, he didn't know it was the guy he was talking to. He was like, yeah, you can have one thing from that bin. And I was thinking to myself, man, if I took the Genesis and, you know, like if someone else took the Genesis before me and I got there and it wasn't there, I'd be pretty unhappy. You know, it's like someone could have taken this, but whatever. I mean, you know, you never know because you could have been moving or something. So maybe the average person wouldn't have thought, you know, oh, this is for free because it didn't have a sign on it. I told him who I was. You know, we talked a little bit, and I said, yeah, I'm here to get this stuff. And, you know, I could have just, the Genesis was on the top. I could have just grabbed the Genesis, but, you know, I just grabbed the whole thing. And the cool thing is, I ended up finding, if I remember, I ended up finding a couple game cords. I found a PlayStation, an original, or at least, even if it wasn't the original, it was a PlayStation AV input-output cords. I think I found a Wii bar or something, and one or two other cords. I think a Nintendo cord or something like that. So it ended up working out. I mean, I found a few hidden treasures in that thing that wasn't part of what I realized. I literally found a handful of stuff, and in the end, it was really worth it. I mean, all that stuff really comes in handy for me. You know, uh, I can't tell you how many systems I get or find and they won't have the cords, so, you know, plus hanging on to those is always nice because you can test stuff with it. But I, you know, my rules that I'll get to that then. But I mean, I took everything. He was happy, I was happy. emailed. Like I said, he was a really cool dude. He told me to send a YouTube video. Never did, and I felt bad, and I was like, whatever. You know, not a big deal for him. He probably wouldn't even watched it, but maybe. But I don't know if remember, it's been so long if he was in the Bethlehem area. But if you ever see this video and recognize me, make a comment. If that ever should happen, it probably won't. But I thanked that guy. You know, I'm always thankful for people who are willing to give stuff away for free because they don't have to. Plus, he didn't know if it worked. Of course, there were. I think that was another thing. I think there was a plug in there for it. I wasn't sure. Or if it wasn't for that one, it's for the second model, the one with the little yellow tip. But it did work. It did work. It worked fine. And like I said, might even have had a controller with it. I don't remember. Like I said, it was a bunch of neat little things. But you know, not enough to get it to work. But because I think I might have got the. No, it wasn't. It couldn't have been the. It might have been a Nintendo Switch. And maybe, like I said, maybe the plug for the second model, so I couldn't use it to work, but I did test it with what I had, and it worked. And so I was happy about that, plus I got those little bonus items. Those are always like, collector treasures, per se. I'm going to put up a video about that, but I was going to come up with some thoughts about that to make it a complete video, because there's a lot of stuff that I can include. So my second story is, let's see, I saw somebody in Quakertown. Once again, we were blessed to be in the area somewhere not far away. I said to my brother, I mean, we're in the same area. It shouldn't be very long to get there. And so this guy had some PC games or something. There for a while I wasn't into PC, but I figured, there's some great games. They need a home. Even though I'm not much of a PC gamer, there's still some classic games, there's still some great games, and they're all still games, and they're all still collector items. So, I'm not actively collecting PC games, but I'm not against it. I'll definitely, keep them and take them. And I mean, even the older ones, even the ones back in the 90s, are still pretty cool to look at with those big box. I've heard of big box collectors and stuff like that. I think I've heard of Metal Jesus talk about that, and I think it's pretty cool. Maybe one day I'll get into that, but for now, I'm just going to collect, for today, I'm just going to do regular video games and video game cartridges, or just anything generally not PC related. For the most part, excuse me. Like I said, see it for a good price or something, I'll take it. If I see free PC games, I'll give them a go. And this guy had, I think, he had a couple Xbox games, like a handful of Xbox games or something, like 2 PS2 games. And so somebody, I wish it was me, of course, got the games. That part I wish was me. But what I didn't like is they didn't take the rest of it. And there was some other stuff there. There was let's see, I'm trying to think. I know that there was the Lord of the Rings collection, and there was a couple PC games. But if you don't mind me moving, I'm going to move. I'm going to show you. Let's see here. Is that? No, that came with mine. I'm sorry, I was looking at a promotion deal. But it came with these. These, I believe, are Mega Man boots. They have a light in them somewhere. Like, I guess this here is supposed to light up. But they came with these. They're very comfortable. I wore them around. They're so new. Look, they're like barely used. See that? Get a little dirt on it probably from me, but they're barely used. And I said, you know what? I actually put them on, and they're very comfortable. I'll just throw them right here for now. I know that was part of it. I know there's a few other things that I actually forgot. There was like a metal hanger thing of some kind, looked like it was for coats. And I said to myself, when we talked, he had said that he had more stuff, and I went over there and I saw that from the stuff he did have, that he didn't. He just had what was there, just minus the games. I mean, I wish I would have got the games. They weren't anything special, but like I said, my rule is everything deserves a home. And he had a couple PC games. I ended up getting those. Nothing special. I think I got a Splinter Cell, if I remember. But let's see. It doesn't matter. I don't know. Let me see here. Let's see. Yeah, let's see. I got the. Excuse me a minute. I know. I know I got this here. And then, yeah. I think it's some. Sorry, I think it was 2 toy Nerf guns. That. And another one. And like there's this neat little cannon thing that I got. I guess you can hook up to the computer like a Nerf cannon or something. That's right. I remember a couple things I got, but anyway, it would take a little bit to dig for them. But when I went over there, I grabbed all the stuff. Oh yeah, there was some posters. That's right, video game posters or something like that. Let's see. Do I have? I got. I don't know if you can see over behind me. I think the roll. Let's see it here. Yeah, see it? The roll over there. I think there were. I don't know if that's all of them, but there were posters of video game. No, movies, and those were math posters or musical posters. Sorry that but I thought I'd show you a couple things. However, there. But when I went there, that's what was left, and I remember thinking, I'm just gonna take all this stuff. So it wasn't a lot. Like I said, it was a box full of stuff. I took what was there, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna just take what's there, and because I felt that just digging through it and leaving them through the stuff that they didn't want wasn't right. Because I figured, as a way to thank you, I'll just take everything. And sure enough, I took it all because I figured I grabbed what I thought was up there, and I figured it was part of the as a way to thank you. And excuse me, I was saying, and sure enough, I got an email from the person. And at first, when I saw the email, I was like, "Oh my God, I took something that didn't belong, on the porch or something like that." And they sent me a thank you email for taking everything. And I said, "Yeah, sure. It's the least I could do. I really enjoy what you gave me here. You gave me awesome free stuff. I got that free pair of sweet slippers that I wish I could wear, but I don't want to ruin. I got those posters. I got those games. Like I said, I got those set of movies. By the way, I didn't open it up. There's like one missing. I got some pretty cool stuff. I mean, sure, it wasn't, extremely valuable, but the idea was that it was free. It was awesome, that I got that stuff because like I said, I'm looking here and there, and I'm looking everywhere, I'm looking all over, and you get these kind people who are willing to give stuff away because they just don't care. Give it to somebody, make their day, and I appreciate that. So um, my rule basically is that that rule, my rule, particularly that I feel that you should do, is I feel, and now rules are starting to come in my head now. I feel that rule is that you should take everything if you get something for free. Most of you might not, but I know some of you have. especially hard now to find things for free. But when you do, you know, kindly, unless it's big bulky items or things, you know, that would be too much of a hassle to deal with, like furniture or whatnot, you should probably take, you know, bin or the box or whatever. And like I said, I found other treasures. Both times I got stuff for free, I found more stuff in there that I didn't expect, you know. Make a little money off of it, so there's some value to it, which is cool. Like I said, I don't care about the value, but at least it gives, you know, there's people like that that really do help the hobby, because it is what it is. Um, Now, I've decided to add this last rule, just because I remember thinking about this. This only happened to me one time, and it reminded me of a Game Chasers video. And there was two different videos. I wish maybe I'll put them up later. But basically, they went somewhere, and there was like an N64 bin of video games, like a bunch of stuff. It was probably worth a couple $100, I'm guessing. And you know, they offered her $20 for them, probably expecting her to, you know, haggle with them, and she took it. And I remember they went back, and I think they gave her $40 or $60 more. I think it was at least 40, but maybe $60 more. And they said, listen, we didn't think you were going to take that price, and the stuff was worth more. And, you know, at first, some people might, oh, that's their loss. That's too bad, you know. It's great to finally get some bargains, but there's very few times when you get something a little too low. You know, I wouldn't feel so bad if somebody gave it to me, literally said, look, it's for a good home. You know, I don't mind giving it away, but she was expecting to make some money, and she didn't probably know what it went for. Now, I'm sure there's some of you out there who've, you know, who you felt guilty about. I'm sure, I'm just going to say this, I'm sorry. I'm sure some of you, I'm sure at some point you got a deal where it was too low, very low, and I'd like to think that maybe some of you felt a little guilty about that. Like I said, good deal versus low deal. Uh, that happened to me one time. Now, I still haven't got around to, you know, giving this person the money that I think they're owed. I think, I like to hope they're not far from me. I like to hope they're still living there. But if they moved, I'll never be able to give them that money anyway. But a few years ago, I was looking at Craigslist on garage sales, and someone had a Nintendo listed with a bunch of games, literally like almost 40 games. And they didn't show the games, it just said Nintendo and showed the thing. And when I went there, I'm feeling like I am now, tired and crappy, and, you know, actually I had $30 on me, and I thought they would, like, I offered, they said 30, I said, would you take 20, expecting them to go up. And I was tired, and I was thinking to myself, oh, they're going to keep 30, and 30's okay. And, you know, and they said, yeah. And so I gave them $20, and I went home. I'm like, wow, this is a little more stuff than I realized. And, you know, like it was a deal, and I felt like, wow, I got like almost 40 games, 3 controllers, and Nintendo. The only thing he said was he checked it, and I don't know if I could get it. It had the blinker, but I don't, that might have been Nintendo where it was yellow and I couldn't get it to work. But either way, it was still worth it. And I said to myself, man, I really need to get over there and give them the money, and I just never get to it. I keep thinking that maybe they're not there, but I know at the time he said he had some Segas, and I'm like, you know what, I should give him at least a minimum $20 more, but maybe even up to 40 more. And you know, like I said, I just haven't got to it, and I don't even know if they're there, but um, you know, when the time's right, I just want to go over there and see if I can give them, see if I can contact them. Hopefully they still, if they're there, I hope they still have their Genesis. But after what I gave him, I was like, hey, you want to sell your Genesis? And he was like, no, maybe some other time. I think he wasn't too happy with the fact that he got less than he thought. But if I do, I'm definitely going to record that video and put it up here for example for others to see. But that's generally my rule on that. So those are, of course, I feel like, for some reason these videos just take, I don't know why, they're just maybe relaxing for me. But those would be my collector rules for now. Hope you enjoyed the video. As they say, like, comment, subscribe. I really would love some comments. But have a great night, day, whatever, and take care.